College football playoffs, let's get into them. Georgia, Oklahoma, 5 o'clock Eastern start on New Year's Day. This game is actually the official Rose Bowl, by the way. Oklahoma Sooners opened up the 1-point favorite in this 2-3 matchup. Since the markets opened it up, this one's got bet down to a pick'em contest. Don't really expect much movement of that number. Could fluctuate between a pick and 1.5 points, but that's probably about it. The only drastic line movements I could foresee would be the result of a random suspension, phantom injury, loss of coach, death, all those bizarre variables that can and do happen during that weird college football month of December. Now, here's the tale of the tape when it comes to the trends. Oklahoma, solid covering team. The Sooners against the spread, 8-5 overall, 2-0 as the dog or pick'em, 4-0 against teams over 700. Oklahoma's also done a very good job covering against good defenses. The Sooners are 5-2 covering versus teams allowing less than 25 points a contest. Oklahoma's 5-1 ATS in their last 6. Quality covers over Oklahoma State and TCU twice. Now, if you're ready to clean out the 401k and put it all down on the Sooners, just keep in mind that this Georgia team has been a cash cow for Bulldog bettors all year round. Georgia's covering 75% of their games this season, going 9-3 against the spread overall. The Bulldogs have also been ridiculous against the number when traveling, going 6-1 covering in games away from home. Georgia's gone 3-1 ATS in their last 4 themselves, garnering a huge marquee cover over Auburn last week in the conference final. All said and done, tough decision for bettors in this one. Now, scoring-wise, couple unders for this Georgia squad in their last 2. That said, the Bulldogs are 2-2 to the overs in their last 4. They're also averaging 36 points a contest in their last trio of games as well. Even more impressive has been their defensive output. Georgia gave up just 7 points per contest in their last 2 games respectively. Meanwhile, on the other side, good amount of unders on the Oklahoma side of things as well. 3-1 to the unders in their last 4 to be exact. They're giving up just 13 points on average in those unders. If I had to take a guess, I'd say the markets will open this one up anywhere between 52 and 55 points. All said and done, I'm leaning toward the Oklahoma side, despite them covering just 3 of 7 games away from home. That in mind, though, I really haven't watched enough of Georgia to really make a good judgment when it comes to the eye test. I think Oklahoma will probably take it, but I will definitely not be making a play on this one. So, sorry, hopefully you enjoyed that information. No action for me on this game. All right, next and final game for the show. I'm talking about 1 versus 4, Alabama versus Clemson. The Crimson Tide opened this one up as the 2-point favorites, despite losing pretty convincingly to Auburn in their last game. Since the markets opened this one up, though, most of that early money has been coming in on the Clemson Tigers to get the job done. Clemson took most of that early action, so that'll move the line down to BAMA, minus 1.5 against the spread. Once we start to get into these high-profile, marquee primetime college games, you do get a lot of public bettors involved, somewhat of an amateur hour if you follow the number. But if you find yourself to be one of those folks who do, in fact, follow the money, you may not want to put all of your stock in where these numbers are going to move, because we'll most likely see a lot of action and a lot of recreational action as well. You know, those non-regular bettors dropping a few $100 on their favorite team or alma mater. But anyway, I've rambled long enough. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tail of the tape when it comes to the trends. And the one thing to keep in mind when it comes to these Bama trends, they've played most of the cupcakes that Division I has to offer, really weak competition. So they found themselves laying double-digit points in 9 of their 11 games on the year. That's, of course, 11 games that actually had a betting line on it. And with all that in mind, Bama's had a tough time covering those monster numbers, covering just 4 of 11 overall. The Crimson Tide have also covered just 2 of 5 away from home, 4 of 11 as the favorite, and just 1 of 5 versus teams over 700. In addition to all that, Bama struggled to cover against good defenses, failing to cover 4 of their last 5 games in that category. Teams giving up less than 25 points a game. Now, most recently, the Crimson Tide against the spread has gone 0-3 in their last 3, as well as just 1-5 in their last 6. They're going up against a Clemson squad who's been pretty good against the numbers. On their side of things, this Clemson squad has successfully covered the spread in their last 3 straight. They've also done a pretty good job of covering all year long, going 8-5 against the spread overall. Clemson's also been real good on the road, going 4-2 ATS in their games away from home. Tigers bettors have also made themselves some significant money when these guys play those stingy defenses. Clemson's gone an impressive 6-1 against the spread versus teams allowing less than 25 points per game. And to top it all off, the Tigers are 4-2 covering in their games versus teams over a 700 win percentage. All in all, the case for Clemson bettors can certainly be made. Now, when it comes to the totals, good amount of unders in both teams' games recently. Clemson contest went 3-0 to the unders in their last 3. That stifling Clemson defense gave up just 9 points of scoring per contest in those unders. Meanwhile, on the other side, very similar story as Bama games went 2-1 to the unders in their last 3 themselves. All that in mind, the case for defense can certainly be made. As for me, though, I'm going to forego a play on the spread and the money line in this matchup. I do like really either of these teams catching a few points. Both teams are so good that it would be tough to not take either one of them catching a few points here or there. All told, though, I'm going to buy this one up and take the Clemson Tigers +2, getting the job done, and once again advancing to the college football national championship. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. I'm going to have one more college football video coming out this week. Obviously, it's going to be that Army-Navy game. Can't wait for that one, so be on the lookout for that later in the week. We also have NFL Week 14 picks. The early games came out already. I'm going to have the 1 o'clock slate coming out and the late games coming out later in the week. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page. And have yourself a positive day.